The committee will come to order. The chairman notes the president of a quorum, which under Rule 3E is a couple of members, and we have that easily. The Committee on Natural Resources is meeting today to hear testimony on an oversight hearing on the President's new National Ocean Policy, a plan for further restrictions on ocean, coastal, and inland activities. Under Rule 4F, opening statements are limited to the chairman and the ranking member. However, I ask unanimous consent that any member that wishes to have a statement provide that statement before the close of business today. Without objection, so ordered. I'll now recognize myself for my opening statement. In 2009, President Obama ordered the creation of an interagency ocean task force to establish a new policy for management of our oceans and coasts. From the onset, there were serious questions about the task force work and recommendations. A bipartisan group of 69 members of Congress wrote the chairman of the task force expressing concerns that the effort was not balanced and failed to recognize the need for a multi-use policy. A multi-use policy that includes both the responsible use of our ocean resources and environmental stewardship. From fishing to energy production to recreation, our oceans are an integral part of our national economy that supports millions of jobs throughout the country. Any new regulation or changes to the management of our ocean should be done thoughtfully and in full collaboration with those affected. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Mark Gorelnik, Board of Directors of the Coastside Fishing Club. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman Hastings, Ranking Member Markey, committee members, and hardworking staff, my name is Mark Gorelnik, and I serve on the Board of Directors of the all-volunteer, 10,000-member strong Coastside Fishing Club, and I am a lifelong recreational angler. I am here today with a cautionary tale from California. For myself and many of the other millions of saltwater anglers in the United States, going fishing is more than a recreational pastime. It is a tradition, a connection to the generations before us, and a tradition that we pass to the generations that follow us. It is also a recreational activity that binds us tightly to the health of the environment. What makes our ocean activity so different from many other ocean users is that the quality of our experience depends directly on the health and vitality of the resource. To us, the ocean isn't merely a surface to be transited from port to port or a fruitful place from which to extract energy and minerals. On this basis, a reasonable observer might believe that California recreational anglers are over the moon about the President's National Ocean Policy and its coastal and marine spatial planning. But we Californians are living the nightmare of a similar program, the Marine Life Protection Act, also known as the MLPA, which included its own component of marine spatial planning. And it is our experience in California that brings me to my cautionary tale. The MLPA eliminates or severely restricts recreational and commercial fishing activities without regard to species management. While posited as a science-driven process, it was far more political. After all, private foundations funded this pseudo-public process, and he who pays the piper names the tune. It was a biased process, and recreational anglers who devoted thousands of hours in stakeholder and other meetings in the end served merely as window dressing. Proposals supported by environmental NGOs always triumphed over proposals by anglers. And this is true even when the NGO-favored proposal offered no conservation benefit and higher socioeconomic costs than the angler proposal. Now, there may be times when sound fishery management, guided by credible scientific data, instructs that angling must be curtailed in order to restore a species or habitat. Recreational anglers on the whole would not and have not chafed at such restrictions because the restrictions are generally narrowly tailored, temporary in duration, and directed toward increasing future recreational opportunities. But that's not what happened in California, where the MLPA usurped the role of fishery management. The President's National Ocean Policy does not need to go down the same road as California's MLPA. As I noted at the beginning of my testimony, anglers, unlike many other ocean users that may be impacted by national ocean policy, need and desire a healthy ecosystem in order to engage in our pursuits. Because we generate billions of dollars of economic activity, there are real jobs and businesses that derivatively need and desire a healthy and vibrant ocean ecosystem. We would like to work with the administration to this end, but our experience in California leaves us wary. Why don't recreational anglers, and there are more than 12 million of us on our nation's coasts, have a hand on the tiller? Will our participation be merely window dressing as it was in California? It seems that that's the way we're headed. A year or two ago, a National Ocean Policy Task Force met publicly in San Francisco. The recreational angling community was not included except as spectators to a series of speakers praising California's MOPA process. This provides us with little room for optimism. In closing, I would urge the administration to remember that recreational ocean angling is woven into the fabric of our nation's coastal communities and is important to tens of millions of voting-age anglers and their families. It brings billions of dollars of economic benefit to coastal economies, and our nation's anglers already deal with vast closures imposed by fisheries managers. The notion that further restrictions unrelated to fishery management and largely politically driven may be visited on anglers is unacceptable. In California, we were told not to worry about the process as it would be fair to all. Well, it wasn't. And we do not want to see California's politically driven and unfair marine spatial planning promoted to the national stage. Thank you very much for your time.
Representing coastal New Jersey, obviously have a lot of commercial and recreational fishermen there. And whether we're dealing with uncertainty of catch shares, now we're throwing into another realm of uncertainty here. And I just wanted to ask Mr. Gornick, I think you kind of alluded to in your testimony that you've dealt with this in California. What are those pitfalls that our fishermen, coastal fishermen, you know, they would want to voice this, but obviously, as we've testified over here, that they might not be able to hear their voice because of the way these things would be set up. But what are some of those obstacles that you faced in California?
Thank you, Congressman. The fundamental problems we found are really twofold. One, the process essentially was rigged from the beginning. The private funding that allowed the process to go forward had changed the rules along the way, and there really was not sufficient objectivity amongst the decision makers in the process. Second, the science behind the process was not, well, as a person with a bachelor's and master's degree in physics, I was very disappointed by the science that I saw going forward. It seemed that in the absence of any data, the precautionary principle was invoked as a way to drive the process in a predetermined direction. And when contrary data in abundance was provided against that predetermined direction, it was merely ignored. So I think that, you know, planning is not inherently a bad thing, but if planning is going to go forward on the nation's oceans, which that could be a good thing if it's done the right way, but I think we have to have an open process, one that's open-minded and does have the involvement of all of the stakeholders, and that would include recreational and commercial fishing.
And I agree. I just wanted to bring that point out because as we, you know, whether we're dealing with Magnuson or we're dealing with this, and, you know, I think Mr. Bullard said, you know, best science available. Well, a lot of the best science we have available right now is killing our fishing industry because it's not the most accurate science. Because some of it is 10, 15, 20 years old. And we have NOAA creating regulation around that and quite frankly, driving our fishermen right out of the industry. So,
the question I have is for the gentleman from the American Sport Fishing Association, Mr. Gorelnik. Is that pronounced correctly?
Gorelnik, and I'm from the Coastside Fishing Club.
Okay. Well, thank you. You're on the Governmental Affairs Committee with the sports fishing.
I
You're here in another capacity. I understand that as well. But I wonder if you could add any input as to where our American tackle manufacturers stand on this particular Oceans Act.
Well, I think that, you know, naturally the economy is affecting that business like it is all other businesses. But the issues specifically in California, which have thrown a lot of fishermen off the water, has decreased tackle sales. We've seen tackle stores close. We've seen landings close as a result of the regulations adopted in California. Of course, that filters right back up to the tackle manufacturers. So I would say our lesson in California is if the process is not done right and we have unnecessary closures, you know, you're going to see businesses take take an unnecessary hit, and it's tough enough in this economy, but to have these, what I would say is gratuitous closures, is going to have a further negative impact.
Right. Going back to the too much government, and this is still directed at you, you note in your testimony that at a public meeting in San Francisco, only those invited to speak were allowed to participate. Does that fit into your definition of public participation and a bottom-up approach?
Speaking to that one event, there really wasn't much of a big tent philosophy there. Recreational anglers were never contacted in terms of being one of the invited speakers, and there wasn't really sufficient time really for public comment, and we really felt shut out. We were very frustrated at that event. We felt that our voices, not only were our voices not heard, but voices on the other side of our issue were given an abundant amount of time to set forth their views.
Right, and you're not alone in that. I've heard that on the East Coast as well, and we've heard that from the fishermen within the sport fishing arena, but also the commercial fishermen I was talking about earlier, that as they were determining closures for the Atlantic coast and the Eastern Gulf, that they were never given an opportunity to really have their voice heard. So that concerns me if we're going to have true participatory government, that we allow that. So I appreciate you testifying, and Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back the balance.
The time of the gentleman does yield back his time, and the